Shalom, this is Amonute Tayac of Piscataway, your friendly neighborhood Shuman, Sophia Spiritualite, and we're here with a discussion about Cowboy Carter. I have been sort of holding my thoughts on this album because well, first of all, I was waiting to see if we get a commentary from, the thought leaders in the Hebrew Israelite community, for which I've seen no commentaries. Therefore, I'm going to go ahead and give mine and let people, everyone else talk about what they're talking about. We gotta stay on the pulse of the culture. This is a battle for the culture, and I intend to win that. So, let's unpack a little bit about this album. First of all, I do think it is a good album. Now, if I was not spiritually in tune, I would just take it at face value. Hey, this is a great album. It sounds great. I'm not going to make any other commentary. I'm just going to listen to it. And it's country. That's cool. We're just going to take that, whatever she says, right? So I listened to the first half of the album last week. And then I finished up the album today. And the first half of the album, like I said, this is a fantastic album. Whoever is mastering this album, as always, is doing a fantastic job. When I listened to the first half of the album, I was almost ready to recant a lot of my positions about Beyonce, and of course that was challenged because, and it's not because the second half of the album is bad. It's not that the album is bad at all. It's not a bad album. It's not even a bad album to listen to. But some of the symbology in the album started to jump out at me. So I was watching some TikTokers discuss this album, right? And one of the things that they said was that one of the things that popped out to me was how everyone was saying this is the new music of America. This is the new baseline genre for America. And I thought that was interesting. Something else that they said was it's not going to go unnoticed that Dolly Parton and Willie Nelson are both on this album, sort of quote unquote passing the torch. When I heard that, I was like, now why would they be passing the torch to Beyonce? That started to be problematic for me. And so I sat on that for another day, and then today I listened to the rest of the album. And so we got to talk about this whole concept of the timing for this album, and if they think they're passing the torch, why would they be passing the torch? Now, let me preface this by saying, in many ancient cultures of our people, when an eclipse came, it was a bad omen. And if the stars lined up and the eclipse was going to be a bad eclipse, what they would do is they would get a commoner and make him king for a day, so that the king could abdicate his throne and the commoner would take all of the karma that's coming with this eclipse. And then once the eclipse was over, the commoner was unceremoniously murdered. Now, we know that there's an age group of people that I call the boomers. Now, there may be a lot of boomers who watch this channel, and it's no offense to any of you all who have done the spiritual work, but there's quite a few boomers who have done nothing. And these particular boomers, the main problem I have personally with them is that, okay, let me tell you what I mean by when I say the boomers. Boomers, if you have Pluto and Leo, that's who I'm talking about. Those are who I consider the boomers, Pluto and Leo. If you have Pluto in Virgo, then you're a Gen Xer. If you have Pluto in Libra, Well, yeah, the older boomers. Yeah, Pluto and Libra. Was that Virgo? They said Leo, and then Virgo. And if you're in Pluto and Libra, you're like a older millennial. Then you have Pluto in Scorpio. I'm like a younger millennial or centennial, they call some of us. And then you have Pluto in Sagittarius, which is like the Gen Zers. Well, maybe I'm not talking about the boomers are Leo. It's like kind of a mix between the Gen Xers cover a big swath of people. If it's Pluto in Libra and Pluto in Virgo are kind of like all Gen Xers. That's really interesting. They're the children of the boomers. Anyway, that's true because some of the boomers waited, some of the boomers, yeah, they're all over the place, right? Because my generation is really Pluto, the millennials are really Pluto in Scorpio. So, the Pluto and Leo people, we're talking about a Dolly Parton and a Willie Nelson. These particular people should have been turned over the reins of whatever it is they hold on to. Okay? The reason why Pluto and Leo did not turn over the reins is because they kept trying to contract for more time. They wanted more time to be in the sun. Leo is about being in the sun. They wanted more time. And so the Pluto and Leo people, they sold out their kids, that whole Gen X generation. They sold them all out so that they could have more time. And by the time we get to the millennials and the centennials, by the time we get to the millennials, the boomer, there's no space for us. Right? There's nowhere for us to go as a millennial. There's nowhere for you to go. Like there's nothing. And now these Gen Zers, they refuse to work for nothing. They refuse to exert energy when there's going to be no reward for their work. And so now you have a problem because you have the younger generation who refuses to work. You have the boomers who refuse to let go. And you have everyone in the middle getting squeezed because the boomers, they really should have been the one to boom this generation into where we're supposed to go as a country. But instead what they did was they took the fear of the silent generation, which would have been Pluto and Cancer. They took the fears of the silent generation and literally held on to it for dear life. The silent generation literally feared them. They put so much fear into them. They couldn't let go because they were like, no, we can't allow what happened to our parents to happen again. And yet and still what happened to their parents is literally happening. And you still have the boomer saying, no, we need more time. We need more time. If we just get a little bit more time, we'll make it right. So put that together with typically an eclipse being a time period where they put a fool in charge and then plan on burning them at the stake later. Why would these boomers like Dolly Parton and Willie Nelson pass the torch to Beyonce when there are actual female country artists like Tanner Adele, who's a real country artist? Now, at first I had said maybe Beyonce always wanted to sing country. And I do believe that. I believe she always wanted to sing country. But again, she should have stood up for herself. She had her opportunity. Beyonce and I are almost the same age. The reason my life is not like Beyonce's life is because I stood up for myself. And I said, I'm not doing any of this stuff you people want. I don't care what you want. I'm going to do what I want. She didn't stand up for herself. So she, just like the boomers, lost her chance. It's too late for you to come out and be, some big country star. That's not fair to the ones who said from the beginning, hey, my genre is country. And it wasn't just her. On this album, Blackbird, it's got a bunch of people on there. She lost her opportunity. She lost it. And I'm not saying that she can't be a country singer. What I'm saying is she can't be the face of country music. She had an opportunity for that. And she chose not to speak up when she had her opportunity. Now you cannot come 20 years later and say, oh yeah, now make me the face of this genre too. No, that's the problem with our women. We are very, very talented. That talent turns us into monsters, saying we have to control everything. It's not good enough for her to be the queen of R&B, the queen of pop, the queen of whatever, concerts, or whatever she is, the queen bee. It's not good enough for her just to be the queen bee. She has to be the queen of every beehive there is. No, that's not fair. I'm sorry. You had your opportunity years and years ago when they started to talk about you when you were trying to do country or whatever. At that time, you should have said, you know what, I'm going to do country anyway. What you do, you did another tour. You took hundreds of thousands of dollars out of our community for your concerts to pay your people. So no, you don't get an opportunity now to come and take over country music. No. And shame on Dolly Parton and Willie Nelson for thinking that they could influence this. That's not fair. Where are your partnerships with Tanner Adele or the rest of the real country artists? Where's that? No, that's not fair. So cancel. No, you can't do that. If that's what your thought process was. Second of all, on that, shame on Dolly Parton and Willie Nelson for trying to put the crown of country music on Beyonce in the midst of this eclipse and say, no, it wasn't us. We weren't the ones who discriminated against black people in country music. She was in charge. She's the queen. She's the queen of country. Now let's blame her. No, unacceptable. Unacceptable. These boomers are going to get exactly what they deserve for continuing to behave this way. This is unacceptable behavior from them. Okay? Unacceptable. Now, another something I noticed, the title of this album is Cowboy Carter, right? If you put the two C's together, you have something which it resembles the outside of the 8, right? But then if you notice, a lot of places in this album, it's got two eyes. Two eyes together. Alligator tears, spaghetti, Levi's, I most wanted. It's like the I thing is like calling in the I am. It's a short version of I am, of course. But it's also when you cross the two I's, you get an X. So you got a Cowboy Carter album with X's in almost every song. Now, when you put an X with those two C's, you get an infinity symbol. And I'm not stretching. This is not a reach. I'm telling you, this is what this is. This is the infinity symbol. Invoking the infinity symbol just before an eclipse is like saying, no, I'm the one who's going to be the queen of this industry forever. Because in the 8 it's forever. And this is an 8 year. And she's got one of the first albums out after the start of the actual new year. So she's literally invoking all of these energies with this title of this album and then the songs with the double eyes everywhere. Really weird, like. So if Beyonce thinks she's going to pull some hoodoo voodoo and become the queen of the music industry over all the other people who are deserving, she's got another thing coming. The mother is going to choose who she wants to be in charge. And it's not going to be because you did some hoodoo voodoo ritual to put yourself in charge. So if that was your plan, no, that's unacceptable as well. Make albums, put out music, and let people feel how they want to feel about it. Like, again, I said, the album is a good album. It's highly spiritual. She takes a lot of responsibility for her actions. And then she also mixes in a bunch of, I ain't taking responsibility for nothing. I'm going to do me, and y'all just need to sit back and watch. Which is unacceptable as well. Totally unacceptable. But there's things I do like about this album. I'm not going to pretend like that's not the case. One thing I like is that she finally gave up trying to hit all those high notes, which I haven't listened to any other albums But, that's not really her thing. She sounds much better in this tone, which means she really would have been a much better country artist from the beginning. And whoever forced her to go into R&B, that's the one she should be mad at. Not us for saying, no, you can't be the queen of country music. I'm sorry. That's unacceptable behavior. That's unacceptable behavior. And this kind of ritual will not be tolerated in my mother's kingdom. I'm sorry to tell you. And I'm sure I'm going to get attacked. I don't care. Whatever. It is what it is. This is my opinion. But you can't miss these symbols. So, anyway, this is not a long video. But to sum it up, yes, of course, listen to the album. It's a good album. But to think that you're going to become the queen of country and that these people are going to put the dunce hat on you and make you the queen right in time for an eclipse and somehow that's going to be a good sign is, I don't know what these people are thinking. So no, you're not going to put the country music crown on a black woman so that you can hijack and dodge judgment. No. And no, you're not going to take the crown of queen of country when you really should have done this from the beginning. You have the autonomy over your own self. We all had to learn that lesson the hard way. And the fact that anybody can, in their almost 40s, jump up and say, oh, yeah, I've never done anything in this industry for 20 years I've been in music, 25 years, but now I'm going to jump genres? No. And to say that this album is the heart of the American music, I think that's unfair. There's a lot of good music out there. I'm listening to go-go. I don't understand what the problem is. People love live music. Live music is really the heartbeat. Any music that has live instruments is going to be the heartbeat of America because we like live instruments. So to say that this album is going to be it, I'm sorry. That's an unacceptable answer, and I reject that. That was an offer, and I'm rejecting that offer because I feel like there's lots of other music made by artists who did not allow themselves to be pushed into a genre just so they can make money. What we have to learn from this is do not do things just to make money. Do not do things just to get famous. Do what you love, no matter what it is. Do what you love. Find a way to take care of yourself in the process, but do what you love. And don't let people put you in boxes you don't want to be put in. Because there's not always going to be an opportunity to turn back and reach your goal. And I don't think it's fair that she can do it. Actually, honestly, I don't think it's fair. Because a lot of black women have been doing country and haven't gotten any respect at all. Like there's a black guitarist, I can't even remember her name, but she was in a country group and people were like, oh my gosh, there's a black woman in country. It's like, wait a second. This is our genre. If anything, this genre is going to be taken back by those who start in that genre and stay in that genre. So yes, she may be the one who inspires more of our women to get into the genre and stay in the genre, but you do not get to be the queen of the genre. I'm sorry, that's not fair. You should have made that decision a long time ago when it was the right time. Now it's not the right time. And again, shame on these boomers, these Pluto and Leo people for assuming that they could quickly and easily steal turn over the reins from what they have done to some younger person and say, oh, well, that person's in charge. Now I understand why they let that dirty Moore be governor of Maryland. Well, it wasn't us. Look, boss, it's a Negro who's the governor of Maryland. Let him take the responsibility. What? Really? Was that y'all's plan? Yeah, that's what it seems like to me. Y'all gotta, and this is, again, no offense to any, the only way this problem is going to be solved by the boomers, the ones who have done the spiritual work, the shadow work, the healing, y'all are the only way that we can solve this problem, because y'all have to call out your peers. Just like I said, Beyonce is like the same age as me. I have to call her out. This is not fair. There's a lot of younger girls, Zoomers. They gotta have a turn. One of them needs to be the queen. I happen to like Tanner Adele, but that's just me. You don't get to be it. It's too late for you to be the queen of that. You have to create something new to be the queen of. That's what you do in this age. When you get to be almost 40, you create your own lane to be in charge of. This is usually the age when people are just getting started into their passion. You don't get to come in at the top of the charts in another industry, jump over to another industry and start at the top. That's not fair. It's not fair and it's not right. And I agree with a lot of these people who listen to country music and are country music fans who are saying this, because it's correct. It's not fair and it's not right. You got to start at the bottom just like everybody else. It's not fair and it's not right. And I won't allow nobody to do that, because that would be unfair if I did that. If I jumped into this Hebrew Israelite movement and I said, hey, I know I'm a chosen one, put me in charge. That would be wrong. I've never done that. And it would be wrong if I did. I had to start from the bottom and learn from the bottom. And that's what you have to do when you start over. You don't get to start over at the top. That's not fair. You don't get a death and a rebirth at the top. See, that's the problem with Scorpios. We do Scorpio and Pluto and Scorpio. We do death and rebirth really easily. We handle it well. But it's not fair for you to go from the top of one industry. That it doesn't count as a death until you fall in. Then you can rise back up. Where was the fall? Everybody wants to skip the valley. The valley is not optional. It has to be public. It has to be public. You don't get to do it privately. There's no private valley. It's very public. That's what's wrong with a lot of people. They think they can go through the valley privately. No, you must be public. Your valley is public. Everyone has to see you. You have to determine to hold your head up high every day and continue on. That is what the valley is. Knowing that you look crazy and you have no idea what's going on and you still march through. That's what the valley looks like. Beyonce has not been through the valley. She hasn't. So she's not qualified to be at the mountaintop. Period. Sorry, I don't care. I'm not here to be nice about this. You have to go through the valley. You cannot keep continuing to keep the shoes from dropping. The shoe must drop. Okay? It has to. The valley is not optional. Even for Beyonce. Okay? The valley is not optional. It wasn't optional for me. And it wasn't optional for anyone I know. It's not optional. You have to go through it. You have to be public. And you have to make it through it. There's no other way to get around it. A lot of these celebrities, they've been avoiding the valley. That is not optional. And for their sake, I pray that they go through the valley. Because when you go through the valley, you can then go to the mountaintop. But without going through the valley, you cannot go to the mountaintop. That is why these boomers are scared. They never went through the valley because their Pluto was in Leo. They didn't know there was a valley. They saw the valley because they saw the silent generation. Their parents suffer, but they turned their valley into the sunshine. You can't do that. You can't do that. You have to hold your head up. The valley is a solo thing. You go through the valley by yourself. I mean, you take your family with you, obviously, but it's something you have to go through. You don't get to go through the valley with everybody else. If I have to suffer, we'll all suffer together. That is the boomers. I'm not suffering, so nobody else is suffering. That's the boomers. And to think, if they think that they can, and their idea of the valley is not really what the valley is. The valley is knowing that you have this passion for something and just knowing that you're terrible at it and suffering through it. That's what the valley is. Knowing that it is what is inside of you that has to come out. And you just holding your head high, waking up every day and continuing to work at it until it all clicks. That's the valley. The valley is not, oh, there's allegations, oh, the blogs, oh, the lawsuits. No. The valley is personal, but it is public. If you were going through the valley, we would all know it. You know who went to the valley publicly? Kanye West. Public. His valley has been very, very public. I don't even think he's out of the valley. I think he's starting to pitch a tent and build a house. Not, come on, Kanye, man. Call me, man. We can work on that. But the valley, he went through a public valley. You know who else is going through the valley publicly? Trump. Very, very public with what is going on. Who else is going through the valley publicly? Kate Middleton. Public valley. Very, very public. Now, I'm afraid that she succumbed to the valley, but that's neither here nor there. Very public, though. Very, very public. Everyone knows what's going on. That's what going through the valley looks like. Who else is in the valley? R. Kelly. He's in the valley. For sure. He's stuck. You know who didn't go through the valley? Not yet. Steve Harvey. He didn't go through the valley yet. He's inching his little feet around the valley. He don't want to step through the valley and just go through the whole thing. He's trying to buy his way out the valley. He's trying to do some little mojo hoodoo voodoo to switch his valley out for someone else. He ain't go through the valley yet. He got near the valley, and the valley was too scary. So he got his little tail on out instead of just going through it and get over with. The faster you go through it, the better. Minimum 18 months. You can get the valley over with. Minimum. It don't have to be forever, but people will remember. Oh, remember that time, ... You know who else went through the valley? Usher. He already been through the valley. That's why he on the mountaintop. I have respect for people who gone through the valley and come out of that on the other side. Lots of respect. Some people don't make it out the valley. Who didn't make it out the valley? Nipsey. He ain't make it out. Everybody don't get to make it out the valley. Michael Jackson, Prince, they didn't make it out. The valley overcame them. Whitney, she didn't make it out the valley. She was almost out. She was on the edge, right? Walking back into the sun, and they took her out. So no, it's the valley is hard. It's not guaranteed you're gonna make it. That's for sure. But it's not optional either. And you can put it off as long as you want, if that's your choice. But you got to go through it. So Beyonce have not been through the valley. I'm sorry, she hasn't. She's not qualified to be at the mountaintop, and therefore the judgment will be called on that. I can't in good conscience not comment on that, because someone should tell her when things start to tumble that you skipped the line. So now you got to go back and try it again, because the valley is not optional. It's not optional. Again, you don't have to build a tent. You don't have to make a house. You don't have to make a deal with the shadow. No. Don't do any of those things. Don't fall into the tar pits. None of that. But it is not optional. You must go through the valley. When you're trying to get to the mountaintop, you can't just jump from mountaintop to mountaintop. It don't work like that. You got to come down the valley and go back up. Down into the... Every time you want to go to a new high, that's a new valley. Every new mountaintop has a new valley. Every new high requires a new low. We see that in trading all the time. When the highs get super high, the low is going to be super low. That's how it works. Don't tell me it don't work like that. I can see it. It works like that in everywhere. Everywhere in nature, it works like that. These Leo and Pluto people, they're trying to jump by nature. They're trying to skirt around nature. It doesn't work like that. You must go through the valley. The valley is not optional. We've had to go through the valley. Over here, we've been through many valleys because we've reached many highs. We've got lots of new information. Every time we got new information, it was a valley before that. And then boom, we're on the top of the next mountain. That's why people can't understand this channel. We've reached highs they could only imagine. But that's only because we've reached lows they could only imagine. Because they're trying to avoid going through the valley. Do everything they can to avoid it instead of just going through the valley. It's not optional. I know I've said that a million times now. It really makes me sad to do this, but she's in my generation. I got to call her out. Just like we need more boomers to call out other boomers. It's necessary. You got to call out the ones in your generation. I got to call out the ones in mine. Zoomers gonna have to call out the ones in theirs. Everybody got to call out their peer group. It's necessary. And of course, this won't make me any friends, but you know, it is what it is. Somebody got to do the right thing. And just allowing them to push this on our country is unacceptable. So we reject it wholeheartedly, 100% without. We reject this contract, this American death song. We reject it, first of all, because America's not dead. America is back. But it's back with new leadership. Our mother is here. And she ain't really taking these apologies too well because people have gone too far and done too much. And so you'll have to deal with her on her terms. And I'm not here to say what that is or what that isn't, but I know what it's not is jumping from mountaintop to mountaintop and pretending like everything is perfect in your life privately when it's not. So instead of you making it public and being really upfront, honest, doing interviews and talking directly about what has happened to you, you didn't do that. So you have no testimony. Your testimony is not, you can't have a testimony in the music. No, you need to sit down, tell people about what's going on, tell them the truth. You can't do that because of your situation. So it's fine, but there's consequences for this kind of behavior. And I would not want to be on the bad side of a mother. I would really repent. Of course, everyone has the opportunity to repent and get it right. That's all I'm saying. I'm only saying this out of kindness. I'm holding a space of love and light for my sister, Beyonce, and she really needs to come out and make it right. And go through the valley publicly and let this thing do what it needs to do. That's my suggestion. As far as those, boomers, man, y'all really need to be calling each other out for what you're doing. You have so much pull and so much influence in these different industries. Help some of these young sisters. You got 4 of them on this album you can reach out to. Help them. Don't just go for the superstar. Oh, I'm co-signing a superstar. Anybody can co-sign a superstar. Co-sign somebody on the up and coming. That would be more valuable to me personally. And to the mother. Bye. I really hate that I have to say stuff like this. I do. I don't like it. But we're not going to let them determine the death song for America. I'm sorry. I didn't agree to that. America's not dead. America is back, baby. We're back. We're back from the dead, baby. We have risen. It's a third day. Don't y'all know the Pentecost is coming? Can't have Pentecost or the Feast of First Fruits until the Savior rises. And therefore, we about to celebrate Pentecost. It's already past the third day. Our brother is already risen. He's done the wave sheep offering and everything. Now it's time to get ready to start this party, man. For real, the wave sheep offering has been done. It has been made. Now it's time to party. So no, this is not the death of America. Period. I know that's what y'all want. I don't know why. But this is my country. This is my land. This is where I'm from. You can't kill my country. You can't kill my land. You can't kill my spirit or my soul. You tried and it didn't work. Therefore, I say, we reject this contract. And any similar contracts they're trying to have our women or our men sign on behalf of us. Because they have to come to us and they have to come to us if they want to start a contract. Not to these celebrities, not to these whoever. No. It's unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. So, shalom everyone, and we will see you in the next video.